Hey everybody, here's a new view of my crazy, insane residence outside of the studio where I usually film. The studio section. Now, this is going to be really quick. I'm going to do a video about that Boston bombing at the marathon. Makes you think different about people running. It's not like people running and getting out of breath and reaching the finish line victoriously. Now it's about people running for their lives because the other guy just got his leg blown off. That's marathon now. So I lied when I said I wasn't going to touch on this subject. I'm obviously touching on it again, and I have my reasons to do that. But here, let me give you the most important salient details that you need to know that I've been able to gather from my multiple internet sources. And I'll take it with a grain of salt, but if it makes sense to you, then put it in your pipe and smoke it, if it makes sense. So you got to realize that everything's interconnected. So the major things that are going on in the world must be connected with such a high-profile, sensationalized event. Otherwise, you ask yourself, well, why would there be so much attention around it as opposed to other things that are going on? There's the one red flag that ought to go off immediately. When something happens, what is it being used to distract you from? Okay, it's a distraction. Now, I'm not going to get into the details here of all the items that we were distracted away from. Now, you got to realize another red flag is number 2, how it happened so close to the historical Patriots' Day, which is the beginning of the Revolutionary War, April 19th. I believe it was 1774. Correct me if I'm wrong, history buffs. But it did happen on Patriots' Day in the place where it happened this year, because Massachusetts holds it on the first Monday of the third week in April. So the third Monday of April. So that did make it that Monday, April the 15th. It's kind of like Thanksgiving always being on a Thursday and so on and so forth. So the other red flag is that eventually they narrowed it down to someone in the former Soviet republics in the area south of Russia. And if you take a look at a map and you get to understand the politics in that part of the world and how they're connected with the United States, you see that you've got Chechnya. It's in the Trans-Caucasus region, and that's like this mountain chain that comes across there from the Ukraine and the Crimea and up from the Black Sea, and it's in between there and the Caspian Sea. There's this big depression that runs up going towards Moscow. This runs down south there into that Caspian Sea, which is a very legendary place, actually, the Caspian. But in any case, today, it's a hotbed of activity, or it was at the beginning of the petroleum age, because that's where most of the oil was tapped at the beginning of that industry. So it has a long history of capitalism, of petroleum, and intrigue, and power fighting. So we're going back to those roots of problems there. Now, I'm gonna have to do part 2 here, because I know you're really just hanging on every word and you want to know what's going on, and I got a distraction. So we'll take care of that and come back, and part 2 will be the conclusion